I am Andy, the Palm Springs linguist, and today I'm coming to you from Ka'anapali Beach on Maui. But in the morning, I'm going to put on a jacket, and we're going to head to the top of the world, Haleakalā Volcano, where I'm going to answer the question, why is the Hawaiian alphabet so tiny? Before the 1800s, the Hawaiian language was strictly an oral language, with no writing system. The spread of Christianity in Hawaii created a need for a Hawaiian writing system so that the Bible could be translated into Hawaiian. The writing system was created by modifying the English writing system to accommodate Hawaiian phonology, and as a result, literacy spread quickly. The modern Hawaiian alphabet only has 13 letters. That's it, only 13 letters. Not all languages have an alphabet, let alone a writing system, but out of the ones that do, the only language with fewer letters in its alphabet I was able to find is Rodokas, a language spoken on an island of Papua New Guinea. It boasts an alphabet of only 12 letters, one fewer than Hawaiian. Still, Hawaiian having only 13 letters is quite impressive. How did it get so tiny? In 1826, several redundant letters were dropped from the Hawaiian alphabet, reducing the number of letters down to an inventory of just 13 letters. The letter V was dropped, leaving the W to do its job. This is because Hawaiian has free variation with V and W. What is free variation? Free variation is when a word can be pronounced in two different ways, both being considered correct by native speakers. For example, in English, I say apricot, but you might say apricot. While you might prefer apricot over apricot, native speakers understand that both are correct. There is no need to spell apricot and apricot differently. They both mean the same thing, and the letter A can represent the A or A sound without issue, since they are in free variation. Have you ever heard Hawaii pronounced as Hawaii? They're both correct. That is because in Hawaiian, the V sound and the W sound are in free variation, which is why the V was dropped from the Hawaiian alphabet, leaving the W to represent either sound. The letter B was dropped, leaving the letter P. Both the B sound and the P sound are pronounced the same way in your mouth, with both lips touching each other. The only difference between the sounds of these two letters is whether your vocal cords in your throat vibrate. While this distinction can change the meaning of a word in English, such as peak and beak, Hawaiian does not make such a distinction, so the letter B was dropped, leaving the P. This is not unique to Hawaiian. Other languages such as Korean regard B and P as the same sound. The letter R was dropped, leaving L. In Hawaiian, these sounds are in free variation, so the L can do the job of both sounds. Hawaiian only makes a distinction between three stop consonant sounds. In the front of your mouth is the letter P. Back in your larynx is the glottal stop sound, and there is also a stop sound in the middle of your mouth. This middle stop sound could be a T, a D, or a K, among others. Since there is no distinction between these middle stop sounds, a rarity amongst world languages, the T and D were dropped from the alphabet, leaving the K to do the job of the middle stop consonant sound. Now let's take a look at a small Hawaiian letter that English doesn't have, the okina. The okina looks similar to an apostrophe, but it is not an apostrophe. In English, apostrophes are used to indicate a contraction of two words into a shorter word, such as in the sentence, Haleakalā's likely dormant, not extinct. They are also used to indicate possession, such as Haleakalā's average high temperature is only 62 degrees Fahrenheit, far below the temperature on Maui as a whole. While an okina may look like an apostrophe, with a closer look, you'll see that an okina resembles a number 6, with a top that curves to the right. An apostrophe resembles a number 9, with the bottom curving to the left. Sometimes in a pinch, people will use an apostrophe in place of an okina when using a keyboard when the correct letter is not easily available. An apostrophe is a punctuation mark, but an okina is a letter that represents a sound called a glottal stop. The glottal stop is the sound that happens in English between the two vowels of uh-oh or between the two vowels of uh-uh. Unlike English, the glottal stop is phonemic in Hawaiian, which means that if you add an okina to a word, it changes the meaning of the word altogether, just like any other letter. Ala without an okina means road, but ala with an okina means fragrant. So far, we've taken a close look at the 8 Hawaiian consonant letters. Since these are only 13 letters in total, this leaves us with just 5 vowels. Since 8 consonant letters are very few for a language, Hawaiian needs to get a lot of mileage out of its 5 vowels. How does Hawaiian leverage its 5 vowels? One way is with a feature Hawaiian has that English doesn't, the kahakō, also known as the macron. which is a line written over a vowel to indicate that you must pronounce the vowel for a longer duration. In Hawaiian, unlike English, vowel length is phonemic, which means that pronouncing a vowel for a longer duration actually changes the meaning of the word. Kohola means reef flats, but kohola means humpback whale. The only difference between the two words is the length of the final vowel. This happens because vowel length is a distinguishing factor in Hawaiian that can change the meaning of a word. In English, whether we say whale or whale, there is no difference in meaning. You're still referring to a whale. Not so in Hawaiian. The long vowels in Hawaiian double the amount of vowel sounds you can get from the 5 vowel letters. Another way Hawaiian gets the most out of its vowels is with diphthongs. Diphthongs are made when there are 2 adjacent vowels in the same syllable and your mouth moves from the first vowel to the next vowel, creating a gliding sound. English has diphthongs, such as the oi in soy, the ow in cloud, and the a in day. Anytime you see 2 vowels in the same syllable in Hawaiian, it is a diphthong, such as in the word for water, wai, in the word for mountain, mauna, or in the word for ocean, moana. Hawaiian takes full advantage of its vowels by combining them into diphthongs, which greatly increases the number of words it can create with so few letters. Not only is the Hawaiian alphabet tiny, but sadly, the number of Hawaiian speakers is too. While Hawaiian is an official language of the state of Hawaii alongside English, the reality is that there are few speakers of Hawaiian. In fact, speakers of Hawaiian Pidgin, also known as Hawaii Creole English, far outnumber speakers of Hawaiian. The same goes for English. However, Hawaiian is still a living language. The Hawaiian language is routinely spoken on the island of Ni'ihau. Once I got into a mountain biking accident on the island of Molokai, I shared an ambulance ride to the hospital with an elderly woman who fell out of her bed, who spoke Hawaiian with our attendant. He apologized to me for speaking in Hawaiian since I didn't understand, so I explained to him how exciting it was for me to hear Hawaiian spoken in real life. Sadly, the Hawaiian language is considered to be critically endangered, but there is some hope. Since the 1980s, some schools have offered a dual language immersion program to elementary school children, teaching them in both Hawaiian and English. And I am a huge believer in dual language immersion programs. I used to work for a school district leading and supporting dual language immersion programs in Spanish and English, as well as Korean and English. While learning the Hawaiian language is anything but simple, learning the Hawaiian alphabet is actually quite simple. And it's well worth the effort, since Hawaiian English is filled with loan words such as keiki, ono, mahalo, ohana, and aloha. And most of the place names here originate from the Hawaiian language. Now I want to hear from you. Haleakalā, which means House of the Sun in Hawaiian, is only one of many great places to visit in Hawaii. What is your favorite place to visit in Hawaii? Or for those of you who haven't been here yet, where do you most want to visit in Hawaii? Let me know in the comment section below. Discover language you were never taught in school while exploring the California desert and beyond. If you enjoyed this episode, please click like and subscribe right now to not miss any future episodes of the Palm Springs Linguist. It's completely free. All it does is tell YouTube to let my video surface for you. Hi, I'm Andy, the Palm Springs Linguist. I hope you enjoyed our visit to Haleakalā and that you gained some insight into the Hawaiian alphabet. Until next time, aloha!